Guys, thank you all for coming. You think there was nothing else going on in the middle?
Well, good afternoon. Welcome. The Biden foreign policy is a disaster across the globe. Afghanistan is a disaster. Russia is a disaster. Ukraine's a disaster. China's a disaster. But there may be no part of the globe more dangerous in the Biden foreign policy than Iran. From the first days of this administration, the Biden foreign policy team set as its top foreign policy goal to negotiate a brand new nuclear agreement with Iran. The Obama nuclear agreement was catastrophically dangerous. And President Biden wants nothing more than to re-enter a deal that is even worse than the Obama deal. In Vienna, Biden diplomats have been furiously bending over backwards to surrender to the Ayatollah. The same Ayatollah who, as a theocratic despot, regularly chants death to America and death to Israel. This administration wants nothing more than to give them hundreds of billions of dollars in sanctions relief. Money that will inevitably be used, number one, to murder Americans. Iran is the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. And number two, to develop nuclear weapons. Under this administration, we have seen Iran sponsoring terror across the globe. Under the Biden administration, we have seen Iran enriching uranium such that it may be only weeks away from being able to develop a nuclear weapon. Under the Biden administration, we have seen Iran evade the most significant sanctions and return to selling over 1 million barrels of oil a day. Our enemies are stronger today because of the weakness of this administration. And the negotiations in Vienna reveal the utter incoherence and absurdity of their foreign policy. Because this is a deal the Biden administration is preparing to announce that was negotiated by the Russians. Right now, the administration has discovered talking points that Putin is bad. This is after President Biden waived sanctions on Nord Stream 2, effectively inviting Russia to invade Ukraine. All the while in Vienna, it is the Russians who have been negotiating and brokering this deal between the Biden administration and the Ayatollah. And the only thing that has delayed announcement of the deal is in the last week, the Russians, unsurprisingly, went to the Biden administration and said, you're announcing all of these sanctions. You're, of course, going to hold us harmless in the Iran deal. This Iran deal, if and when it is announced, will be a massive win for Vladimir Putin. Because the Biden administration has been eager to tell Putin and tell the Ayatollah, of course, we will have a carve-out for the Iran deal on Russia sanctions, which means Putin will make billions in oil and gas transactions, in nuclear transactions, and in weapons transactions. Putin wants to be the leading arms dealer to the Ayatollah. And so the Biden administration is incoherently announcing sanctions on Russia while simultaneously creating a massive subsidy for Russia. This makes no sense. If you want to understand how little sense it makes, just talk to any of Iran's neighbors in the Middle East. Ironically, Obama may have retroactively deserved the Nobel Peace Prize that he was awarded, because he managed to do something that heretofore had been impossible. He united the Israelis and the Arabs. And all he had to do was negotiate a deal that would lead inevitably to Iran getting a nuclear weapon. And suddenly, nations that had been enemies for millennia came together and said, this is truly insane, standing by and allowing the Ayatollah to have nuclear weapons. If this deal goes forward, it will have no effect unless and until it is submitted to the Senate as a treaty and ratified by 2/3 of the Senate. If it were actually a good deal, it should be able to get ratified by 2/3 of the Senate. The chances that Biden will submit it as a treaty are 0.0%. Under existing statute, he's required to submit it for congressional approval. You may see the Biden administration try to stiff Congress even on that. But if this administration tries to ram through a terrible deal, in Congress, you could expect Congress to do everything possible to resist a deal that gives Iran and the Ayatollah the resources to develop a nuclear weapon. And you can rest assured that on January 20th, 2025, the next presidential administration, which I believe will be a Republican administration, will rip to shreds whatever terrible deal Biden gives away to Putin and the Ayatollah in Vienna. If, God forbid, the Ayatollah gets a nuclear weapon, the odds are far too high that we may discover in the skies of Tel Aviv or New York or Los Angeles, when a theocrat chants death to America and death to Israel, we should take those threats seriously. Senator Risch.